Hello everyone, welcome back to Sowkya Med Vision. Today we are going to see the functions of leukocytes. Yes, in the previous lecture we have completed the complete morphology of leukocytes and the process of development and maturation of leukocyte, that is leukopoiesis. Yes, today in this video we are going to see the independent functions of each leukocyte. Yes, here we go. The neutrophils. Yes, neutrophils are the granulocyte. Yes, these are the granulocytic cells. They containing granules in their cytoplasm. Hence, it is known as granulocyte. The main function of the neutrophil is involvement in the phagocytosis. Yes, it is the main function of the neutrophil. Yes, the process of phagocytosis. Yes, it is involved in the process of phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is nothing but when the foreign body, any bacteria or any antigen is entered into the body, the neutrophil is get activated. Yes, the neutrophil is get activated, develop pseudopodia and eat the cell. Yes, the neutrophil, whenever the foreign body, see, let's say this is the foreign body and here is a neutrophil. So neutrophil is activated when the foreign body is entered. Here the neutrophil detect this. Yes, and this antigen is engulfed by the neutrophil. Yes, it is engulfed by the neutrophil antigen. After entering, the neutrophil eats the cell. It debrays the cell. Yes, after entering, engulfing, it eats the phagocytoses the cell. It is the main function of the neutrophil. Yes, it engulfs and kill microorganisms. Yes, it detects the antigen and kills the microorganism. And another important function of neutrophil is respiratory burst. Yes, it is involved in when increased in oxygen consumption. Yes, when increased in oxygen consumption, phagocytosis, NADPH oxidase. See, when there is phagocytosis, that means when there is entry of foreign body, the neutrophil cells are activated. So phagocytosis process takes place. During that process, more oxygen is required. Yes, during the process of phagocytosis, more oxygen is required. And one more, NADPH oxidase produces superoxide at that process. Yes, so the next function is killer mechanism. Yes, it releases some enzymes for what? Inflammation action during inflammation and antimicrobial action. So what are the main functions of the neutrophil? Phagocytosis, respiratory burst and killer mechanism. Yes, its main function is the phagocytosis. It always check whenever the foreign body comes, it engulfs and kills a microorganism, and it is usually done in the acute inflammation. Yes, so the functions of the eosinophils are, it involved in defense mechanism. Yes, it involved in defense mechanism. It has allergic reaction and detoxification. Yes, what are the three main defense mechanism? Allergic reaction and detoxification. Yes, eosinophilic peroxidase. It is an enzyme released by, it helps in destruction of helminths bacteria. Yes, it is an enzyme released to destruction of helminths. Yes, these are the microorganism. And major basic protein, which is involved in destruction of helminths and detachment of tegumental sheath. It is a thin layer. Yes, it is a thin layer present as a membrane, present as a sheath. So the major basic protein is involved in the destruction of helminths and detachment of tegumental sheath. And another function, the another substance is eosinophilic cationic protein, ECP. So it is also involved in destruction of helminths, but it has more capacity than the major basic protein. Yes, the 10 times more toxic than the major basic protein. And now cytokines. Cytokines are substances, these are also known as interleukins. So the eosinophil release interleukin 4 and interleukin 5, which is involved in the process of inflammatory response. Yes, the eosinophil's major function is defense mechanism, allergic reaction and detoxification. Defense mechanism means whenever the foreign organism is entered, so it involves in defense mechanism. And allergic reaction, the substances released by eosinophil is what? Eosinophilic peroxidase, major basic protein, eosinophilic cationic protein, and cytokines, interleukins. Yes. Now let's see the basophils. Basophils are involved in healing process. Yes, basophils are involved in the healing process. Once the injury is completed, once the foreign body is eliminated or destructed, it should be healed, right? The part which is affected should be healed. So the basophils are entered to heal the process. And allergy or acute hypersensitivity reaction, it is also involved in acute hypersensitivity reaction by releasing immunoglobulin E. Yes, immunoglobulin E, these are the proteins. Yes, type of globulin. So the substances released by basophil are heparin, histamine, bradykinin, serotonin, proteases and myeloperoxidase. So here the heparin, when released, it decreases the clotting. Yes, as we know, heparin is the anticoagulating substance, anti-clotting substance. It decreases clotting. Yes, now histamine, bradykinin, serotonin altogether is involved in acute hypersensitive reaction. And proteases, myeloperoxidase, both two involved in the destruction of foreign microorganism. Is what are the main functions, main substances released by basophil? It is heparin, histamine, bradykinin, serotonin, proteases and myeloperoxidase. Yes. Now the monocytes. Monocytes are the first line defense in the body. So there are first line defense of body. So it is occurred by monocytes. Monocytes are involved in the first line of defense mechanism. So these are motile and phagocytic. What are the other cells which we discussed phagocytic? They are neutrophils. Neutrophils are also phagocytic. So the monocytes and neutrophils both are phagocytic. The monocyte, yes, the monocyte, it is, as we know, these cells are present in the blood. Yes, after maturation, the monocyte cells come out of blood during the inflammation, in infection or allergy. They mature into macrophages. Yes, they develop into macrophages. Monocytes are developed into macrophages. So the substances released by macrophages, monocyte is what? Interleukin 1 and MCSF. It is nothing but macrophage colony stimulating factor, macrophage colony stimulating factor, and platelet activating factor, chemokines. Yes, so the interleukin 1 enhances the inflammation. Yes, the interleukin 1 enhances the inflammation, which accelerates the inflammation and also destruction of foreign organism, invading organism. Yes, interleukin 1 is also involved in destruction of invading organism. And second substance is what? Macrophage colony stimulating factor. It is involved in formation of macrophages. Yes, as I said, monocytes are matured and developed into macrophages, which are involved in defense mechanism. Yes, and the third substance released by monocytes is platelet activating factor. Yes, what is the function of platelets? Coagulation, that is aggregation of the blood cells. Here the platelet activating factor is released by monocytes, which involved in aggregation of platelets. Yes, now the last substance released by monocytes is chemokines, which helps in the chemotaxis, that is movement of chemicals. Yes, and the last cell is lymphocyte. Lymphocyte is also a granulocyte cell. Yes, it doesn't contain granules in its cytoplasm. The main function of the lymphocytes is immunity. Yes, these are involved in the immune response. There are two types of lymphocytes. They are B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. And the immunity, there are two types of immunity, humoral and cell mediated. The B lymphocytes are involved in humoral immunity, whereas T lymphocytes are involved in cellular immunity. The T lymphocytes secretes interleukin 2, interleukin 4, 5, 6 and 10, which all are them is involved in the inflammation process. Yes, the T lymphocytes is involved in the inflammation process, and also it releases interferon gamma. Yes, it releases interferon gamma, which stimulates phagocytosis. It stimulates phagocytosis and lysosomal enzymes, tumor necrosis factor and chemokines. And the substances released by B lymphocytes are immunoglobulins, tumor necrosis factor and chemokines. So what is the main function of lymphocyte? It is a granulocyte which is involved in the immunity response. There are two types of lymphocytes, B lymphocyte and T lymphocytes. B lymphocyte cells are involved in humoral immunity, whereas T lymphocyte cells involved in cellular immunity. There are different substances released by T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, which are involved in inflammation, phagocytosis, and it is also involved in immunoglobulins, yes, immune response. So these are the different functions of leukocytes. These are the different substances from where different mechanism takes place in the body, like phagocytosis and respiratory burst, killer mechanism, engulfing, immunity, etc. Yes, this is the complete discussion of functions of WBC. To understand this, you need to study the morphology of leukocytes, WBC, which is already completed. Go check the video. Yes, this is the complete functions of WBC. Let's see in which condition the WBC cells are increased and decreased. Yes, there are some conditions where the WBC cells is increased. Let's see physiologically. There are some conditions where the WBC cells are more than normal. In adult, let's take the parameter age. In adult, there are 4 to 11,000 WBC per cubic mm of blood. Yes, in infants, there are about 20,000 cells per cubic mm of blood. In children, after birth, in children, 10,000 to 15,000 cells per cubic mm. Yes, in the male, there are more leukocytes comparing female. Yes, the leukocyte count, the WBC count is increased after exercise and in the menstruation period and in the pregnancy time. Yes, the WBC are increased, whereas during sleep, the WBC cells are decreased. And now pathologically, when the WBC count is decreased, it is termed as leukopenia. Yes, leukopenia. The word penia is used whenever there is count is decreased. So when the WBC is decreased, it occurs in the cirrhosis of the liver, disorders of spleen and pernicious anemia. These three conditions where WBC cells are decreased. Yes, wherever the WBC cells are decreased, it is termed as leukopenia. And leukocytosis means the increase in WBC cells. When WBC cells increased, is there if to fight against any foreign body? Yes, to fight against a foreign body, to kill and engulf during infection, allergy, common cold. There are more such conditions where WBC cells are involved to fight against antigen and foreign body and immunity. Yes, so this is the functions of WBC. If you have any doubt, please comment in the comment section. Please do subscribe the channel and support, like, share. Thank you.